Stop trying to make your yoga practice exciting. I know that sounds backwards, but we live in a world that tells us that new, faster, better is always the thing that we need to be chasing. But when it comes to something like yoga, craving for that newness, craving for that novelty is actually the reason that you could be stuck doing the same thing that you were back in COVID when you first started doing yoga. Doing new flows, trying to spice things up every single day can lead you to feeling like you're doing new things every single time. But in the long term, you're actually avoiding the one thing that's going to help you progress, which is the slow, boring, repetitive nature of something like an Ashtanga practice. And this is why you've really got to see that you don't need a new teacher, you don't need a different style, you don't even need a different body type or like anything to be different. You just need something deeper that's being missed in all of these 20-minute yoga flows. And the problem isn't in repeating something once again, it's actually in how we approach repeating the same sequence over and over again. I'm Sushmita, but you can call me Sushi, and on this channel, I help you quiet your racing thoughts and help you just move into a little bit more focus and calm during the day using the power of Ashtanga Vinyasa Yoga. And I'm going to share what the ancient masters somehow already knew and what separates people who just do yoga for 60 minutes in the morning and those that live it as a lifestyle. It's that the people that live it have learned how to use it as a tool to master their mind. And if you want to stop forcing your body into shapes that it isn't quite ready for and actually master your mind, there is a link in the description below, but more on that for later, because right now we're going to learn how to go from mechanical to mindful through the art of repetition. Let's be honest about the way we practice yoga today. It's a lot like how we scroll on our feeds on our phone, and we want that dopamine hit, we want to feel stimulated, and so we treat our yoga practice just like our explore feeds. It's like, oh, I'm so bored of this flow, I've done it already, let me try a power flow today. Or, okay, the power flow is too fast for me, let me go do a yin class and open up my hips today. And even the schedules that we see in today's modern studios mirrors this way of thinking. And we treat our bodies like entertainment centers. And the moment things get repetitive and the moment that we're asked to do the same sun salutation more than 3 times, we kind of just check out. We think, I already know this, can we do something else? Can we try a new variation? I'm so bored. But if you feel bored and you're noticing this in yourself in a class, you just aren't paying attention. And boredom is just a layer of resistance. It's your nervous system saying, I don't want to be here, I want to be stimulated, give me something that's new, something that's novel, so that I can hold my attention there and binge it until it stops being novel and starts being boring, and then I can find something else that's exciting and cool to like kind of devour. And so when we switch our routine constantly, you're digging for water in 100 different holes, but none of them are digging so deep to actually touch the water table. And so you put in a ton of work for many years, you sweat, you get the dirt everywhere, and you're actually like really tired at the end of the day, but you never quite hit that source. You never quite go deep enough so that you find that true well of joy within yourself, and in that well lies peace and progress and all of the good things that come out of the yoga practice. So let's make the shift. What is the shift actually about? Growing up in India and being here in Mysore, surrounded by some of the last living masters from Krishnamacharya's times, I was just at Guruji B.N.S. Iyengar's class. This year he's 99 years old. He's about to be 100 years old, and he's still coherent and he's still speaking. And he doesn't view the same sequence as boring. In fact, when it comes to the Ashtanga Vinyasa sequence, we do the same thing every single day. Are we crazy? Do we lack the ability to creatively sequence well? No. We keep the external movements the exact same so that we can see the internal changes that happen on a day-to-day basis. And this is what all of these masters are actually pointing towards. If you think about it, if you keep changing the sequence every single day, one day you come to the mat and you're frustrated, then you blame the sequence. You're like, oh, this flow is too hard, or then you start blaming the teacher and you're like, oh, the teacher's voice is too annoying, maybe I should have chosen a different class. But if the sequence is exactly the same, and yesterday you felt frustrated and today you feel fine, then guess what? It's not the sequence, it's not the postures, it's you. It's what you're bringing to the mat on any particular day, and maybe you've been feeling anxious or maybe you've been feeling low, and depending on what you're bringing to that mat on any given day, you can actually work with it in that moment. So if you're feeling anxious and you're waking up just overwhelmed, then you use the practice to ground and soothe. If you come to the mat and you're so like sluggish and you're just like, I need to wake up, then you start to do more sun salutations and build heat through the practice. And so the repetition removes these excuses. It forces you to look at your own mind. And so when you feel the boredom of not varying everything constantly, and you pass through that phase of boredom, you almost enter this kind of flow state with the practice. And most people don't actually get past that gatekeeper of boredom, because modern yoga and the entire industry of yoga thrives off of giving you that variety, of keeping you buying more courses, downloading more apps, going to more group classes, and not making you independent. Real yoga is meant to be practiced for a lifetime. It's meant to be independent, sustainable well into your 80s, and it's supposed to be a progressive practice that works with your level. And if you're willing to walk through that phase of boredom, I promise you there is only magic on the other side. Okay, but why would you listen to some random chick on the internet tell you that you don't need to do vinyasa flows and that you should do something as old school and rigid as Ashtanga yoga? Don't listen to me. I feel like I need to throw out all my stops here, but listen to biology. Now, there is a biological reason for this, and it's called neuromuscular adaptation. I know it sounds fancy, but let me break it down. Essentially, when you do a movement for the first time, you're like in this kind of survival mode, and your body's trying to make sense of whatever it's doing. Where does my foot go? Am I supposed to breathe in or out? Am I supposed to be copying you or doing it myself? And by just answering all of these questions, your brain is burning through a ton of energy just trying to coordinate the mechanics of your imperfect, clumsy body. And I know you might be good at yoga, so no offense at all. But what I mean is, I've been practicing since I was like 8 years old. And trust me, whenever I go to a drop-in class at a vinyasa studio, I still don't know my lefts from my rights. I'm like, why is the teacher moving so quickly? And when you repeat the movement in something like Ashtanga, where you're not just looking at the teacher and copying them like a game of Simon Says, but you're repeating the same repetitive movements 100 times, 1,000 times, those movements then come into your subconscious mind. You're not thinking about how to do it or what the name of the shape is. And this is a critical moment. It's when most people quit, because after doing the whole of the primary sequence maybe like a couple of times or for a couple of months, they just survive the struggle, and surviving the struggle feels so good that they're like, oh wait, maybe I should just like add in something else, or I should start to like, vary this, or add in my handstand practice into Ashtanga, or maybe I can do some kind of flamingo variation where I stand up with the bind. And I see this on Instagram all the time. And just because you've done the series for a few months, a couple times a week, maybe you've done lead classes, doesn't mean you've mastered it. It doesn't mean you've mastered it and you can move on. It's not that you've learned it and mastered it. You just automated it along with some bad movements, habits just thrown in there, and you aren't even aware of it. And automation does not mean mastery. Mastery is what happens when you take that automated movement and you're able to pour your full consciousness back into it. It's only when the poses, the sequence, the Sanskrit count all become so automatic that you can finally find the space inside of yourself to look at all of the finer details, to see what the mat is showing you, how it becomes a mirror, what is the asana telling you about yourself. And unless you're doing this and you're constantly varying playlists, varying flows, you're distracting yourself with a different challenge before fully mastering one thing. And most of us are trying to layer yoga on top of an already chaotic life without clearing out the noise first. And so we treat yoga like this pill to swallow to fix a bad day. But yoga isn't a pill. It's always going to be a mirror. And the mirror, you can't see anything if it's so like dusty and dirty. And the mirror will undeniably show you whatever it is. It's not going to lie to you. It's a trustworthy, stable reflection of who you are. So before you unroll your mat tomorrow, I want you to ask these 3 simple questions. The first question is my mind way too preoccupied with something else to even be here on the mat today? There's this famous story of a Zen master, and basically his student comes to visit him. The master pours some tea into the student's cup, and he keeps pouring and he keeps pouring and he keeps pouring until it overflows. And the student's like, stop, 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 it's full, like I don't want any more. And the master is like, just like this cup, you're full of your own opinions and your own speculations and your own ideas of things. So how can I show you or teach you the way of Zen unless you first go and empty the cup so that I can fill it? And this is what happens when we bring our work stress, our relationship drama, the whole of our to-do list just onto the mat, and then we're like physically there, but mentally we're so checked out because there's no space. There's no vacancy in our mind, the space between two thoughts where we can actually do this deep inner analysis. And if your mind is still somewhere else when you come onto the mat, then you can't really listen to the subtle cues of your body. And so everything your teacher says, anything that the teacher says, regardless of how experienced they are, will sound like gibberish because the noise inside is just simply too loud. And so what's the fix? The fix is really simple. You must deal with that noise first. Maybe you just finish off that email. You make that call. You write it down on a piece of paper. You journal for 10 minutes and you physically leave that in another room. And you have to empty the cup, whatever that looks like for you, before you come to the practice. You can't force yourself to come to practice because it's 6:30 and that's the time that you practice. Question number 2 is there insufficient preparation somehow? You see, in the West, we treat yoga like it's part of a gym class. We wake up, we scroll on Instagram, we rush, we get dressed, and then we get in the tube for like 45 minutes. Then we run to the studio, we check in, use whatever, and then we throw down the mat and it's so loud, and then we instantly expect to find some kind of inner peace in like 30 minutes. And so this is a recipe for a disaster, and it's not the way it was designed. You're asking your nervous system to go from 100 miles per hour to like 0 in literally 3 seconds as soon as you put the mat down. And it doesn't work that way. The ancient masters, these living masters here in Mysore, never practiced this way. It was part of their lifestyle. They had rituals. They woke up in the morning, they did their suprabhartam, they showered, they did a little bit of pranayama or chanting, they even prayed, they went to like a temple. And these aren't just things you do as extra, they were all part of the practice. And so we have to create this transition zone between any other normal activity and this sacred special activity. And you don't need 2 hours to meditate, you don't need to do all of these extra rituals, even if it just means taking a shower, wiping down your mat, lighting some incense in the corner, and then like doing something to help you shift your mental state from this is not an ordinary activity and this is a sacred practice. And finally, question number 3, congrats on being patient with me, hey, that rhymed, is the one that keeps most people stuck, and it's, do I have the right kind of guidance? Yoga is a very subtle thing. You can't see your own back. You can't like actually see or know if you're breathing correctly. And when we only practice with YouTube videos or even in a crowded studio with like 30 other people, we're often just reinforcing our own bad habits and we don't even know it. You might think you're breathing correctly, but you're actually hyperventilating. You might think your alignment is safe, but then you're compressing your lower back. Without a mirror, and I don't mean a physical mirror like in a studio, without feedback, repetition just makes the mistake that you've been making permanent. It becomes like part of you in a way that actually creates more harm than good. It's like driving a car but with a blindfold on. And you might be moving, you might be exercising, but are you going in the right direction? Is that the way you want to be going? You need an external eye to show you what you can't see. And this is exactly why I built this AI feedback feature inside my Yoga Mastery program. It's so cool, it's one of a kind. And I realized that not everyone can fly to India to study with the masters or do expensive private sessions with me or with anyone else, but everyone needs feedback. Repetition alone isn't enough. Feedback is kind of the thing that closes the loop and makes progress possible. Regardless if you're a beginner or you've been practicing for a long time, you still need feedback. And inside the program, we use AI technology to act as that mirror. And you don't have to guess if you're doing it right. You get this personalized insight to isolate exactly what you need to be working on within your practice. And I'm here to help you do that. And it's not just about fixing poses. pauses. It's much more about removing these kinds of doubts so that you can relax and you can do your practice and get on with your day. And so if you're ready to stop guessing and you're ready to actually master this kind of repetition, I want to invite you to book a free call with me. There's a link in the description below. Let's look at your practice, let's look at your current routine and see what your blind spots are. And if I can genuinely help you, then I will take you on. But either way, there's no pressure at all. You can keep consuming these free videos until one day somewhere I will get you. But don't worry, if you're enjoying these videos, just make sure that you subscribe to my YouTube channel. At least it tells the algorithm to help me keep making more videos just like this. Comment down below and let me know if there's anything else you want me to make. And I'm so thankful that you watched till the very end, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Namaste. Have a lovely, lovely day ahead.